Hello and welcome to Beyond the Ornery. Today I'm looking at the books by Tara Grayce, and those books are Fierce Heart, Warbound and Deathwind. They're all part of the Elven Alliance series. And I'm outside on a cold bench, and there may be quite a lot of background noise today, so it could be interesting. So, this series is somewhat of a departure from what I normally read. For a start, it's very much a romance style chick flick type book, or series of books. There are three with a fourth one called Troll Queen, I think it is, due out fairly soon. Now it starts off with a princess who's got a full name, but she's known as Essie, and right at the start of the book she's a human. There's a human elf peace talks going on. She suggests maybe a marriage alliance, and straight away she ends up getting married to a elf brother of the king of the elf country. His name, and I'm going to have to look this up because it's not memorable, was something like Lesornish. That's not the whole name, that's just the first part. Lasornysh. Totally not the sort of name you're going to remember as you're reading through a book. You're going to go, oh yeah, that's his name, I recognise it when I see it, but I'm not going to remember it. And if I'm talking to somebody later, I am going to say, oh yeah, the Elf Prince. Now, Essie, on the other hand, is a very easy to remember name and works really well. Where we start off, that the prince and princess get married off, and Essie pretty much goes straight into living in the Elven city, so a place she knows nothing about. They're speaking a language she barely knows. She can read a bit of Elvish language, but she can't really speak it. His family don't seem to like her very much. He's a quiet, brooding, very masculine warrior hero of the elves. She is a chatty, non-fighting, etc, etc. So complete contrast to him. But somehow they managed to hit it off, partly because obviously he's incredibly handsome, chiseled, muscular, etc, etc. And she, on the other hand, is incredibly perceptive and can see underneath his silent demeanour, grim-faced demeanour, how he's broken and emotionally in need of healing. And she understands and tries to deal with that. And yes, she pretty much is in love with him from first sight. But their relationship takes a long time to develop, especially with his family not being that keen on her, although at least one person within the Elven lot is quite friendly towards her, which helps. The background to these 3-4 stories is that firstly the elves and the humans were at war several years ago. Well, when I say several, we're talking sort of like 20 years ago. The elves killed Essie's father, so her brother is king and there's another set of brothers. The elves were also at the same time at war with the trolls, and by trolls we don't mean trolls in the big hulking ogre sense, but more like elves but with powers over stone and ice rather than trees and greenery. And because they'd been fighting on a two battlefront, the elves had agreed a peace with the humans after the various fights 20 years on, but it wasn't a very lasting peace, and hence the peace talks at the very start of the book. But there's still all that underlying tension, and Essie is trying to do her best to build up the desire for the elves to get on with the humans. And she does this by firstly looking at products that the humans may want so that the elves can sell to them, building up trade, and in particular shampoos and conditioners. It's a very girly book, and I'm not saying that men don't like shampoos and conditioners, but the way it's all phrased is, yeah, this is important, and it's the wives and the girlfriends and the mothers who are going to be interested, and not the men of the humans. And also, elf society is very prejudiced against people who don't look perfect. So her love interest has got lots of scars because not only has he been captured and tortured, but he's been battling for the last, I don't know how many years. And so he's got scars all over them. So he's looked down on by elf society, and a lot of the people he's friends with are people who've been injured during the wars. And she becomes friendly with them because she doesn't have the same prejudice about scars and people who lost limbs during battles and things like that. It not being unusual for humans to have scars, and there being much more of a, if you've got a scar, that's quite a good thing rather than a bad thing. So that's the kind of underlying bit to it. It's as much about these two trying to get together, because even though they're married within the first quarter of the first book, their relationship takes a while to develop, and it develops in pretty much the most obvious, hackneyed, trope-like way you could possibly develop it. But that doesn't mean this is a bad book. What I would say about this book, or this series of books, is that it's fairly easy to get into. It's quick reading. It's not heavy reading. You don't go into books always wanting to read War and Peace. You want some books which are much more light-hearted and not deep and meaningful. This series of books is not particularly deep and meaningful, but it's not vapid. It's got quite a lot to recommend it. The different societies are all very well thought out. So the humans are steampunk level, as in they've got steam trains. The elves are all magical, so their trains are powered by magic instead. And this means that there are obvious conflicts, but there are also ways that the two societies can help each other. There is some human magic, but it's not really looked on. It's not really touched upon. There's a tiny bit in the background, but mainly it's the elves with the magic and the humans with the science. And it's steampunk. You've got pistols and rifles, but they're not modern artillery. They're Victorian era artillery instead. All in all, this book, if it was not have the huge romanticism in it, it would be something I'd happily read. However, the very thick romance aspects of the book make it a lot harder to read for me. But I did read 3 out of 3. I didn't stop after the first one and say, no, I'm not going into it. You can keep reading the stories and not be too put off by the romantic elements. And if you like that style of romantic element, then that's fine as well. I would grade this book about a 6 out of 10. And after an unexpected break where I had to go pump up some French person's bikes, thank you for watching the video. Hope you've enjoyed it. My name is Nigel. If you haven't done already, please like the video and press the subscribe button so I can build the channel. Thank you very much for watching. Bye for now.